Those were in their 20s or 30s. Mac used the word girls because Robert makes all of them dress up like little girls. Just all kinds of little girl outfits, barrettes and scrunchies and things like that. What up, you guys? Whitney B here with Whitney DTV, and we have merch! Check it out in the description box down below. What up, you guys? Welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be. Go ahead and click that subscribe button to be a part of the Witness gang, to join the Witness Nation. Now let's go ahead and get into this read, shall we? Hello, you guys, and welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be.
I'm Whitney. Keep it cute and get the boot.
Your girl, as whack as she is in all her glory, was in the New York Times. The young singer and her mother approached Susan Logan, citing attorney-client privilege. The lawyer, who'd made a specialty of settlement complaints by underage girls, with Kelly declined, as usual, to comment. But Max said Kelly's attorney, Ed Jensen, and manager Darrell McDavid, who is in court now, worked their magic to get the singer and her mother paid off $750,000. This is what Robert told me. At the time, he was such a big hit for that FIFA Cup. He didn't want the publicity, so he settled. After Kelly's first trip to South Africa in 2009, he returned the next year to perform at the opening ceremony of the 2010 World Cup. I see the light at the end of the tunnel, he sang in sign of a victory. His newest anthemic single, and I can feel heaven in its place. At Kelly's suggestion, Mac paired the young singer she represented with a 19-year-old songwriter she met at an Atlanta club called the 12. She looked like an Aaliyah. She had a beautiful voice, and her potential in terms of being a writer was amazing. The star began a sexual relationship with the songwriter after Mac began to represent her, Mac said, and the songwriter also became a member of the cult. She looks awful. He dressed her up in sweats, threw her in a room, and threw away the key. She doesn't write anymore. She doesn't record anymore. She does absolutely nothing. She's a servant to Robert. It's so sad. Though Mac said Kelly's behavior troubled her, she accepted his offer in mid-2013 to serve as his personal assistant. Like many before her, she thought she could change him. I really honestly did want to help him. I felt like I was the one who was going to. Though some of the women in the cult were in their 20s or 30s, Mac used the word girls because Robert makes all of them dress up like little girls. Just all kinds of little girl outfits, barrettes and scrunchies and things like that. He orchestrated threesomes and sometimes demanded the girls have sex with him in front of others. During one of those scenes, Max said he told the young singer she represented, if you want to learn and engage an audience, you have to learn it right here. After a year and a half and a credit on the Black Panties album, Max split from the singer in summer of 2015. I felt like I had enough. He was saying things like Cheryl was in control of my whole life. He did the same thing he did with Daryl McDavid and everybody else. She was taking my money. Mac denied that allegation. She signed a non-disclosure agreement with Kelly, but she initially said she was not afraid to talk to me. She also sent me a copy of what she called her book, a 5-page narrative PDF with names, dates, and incidents, almost all of which I corroborated. Maybe I should be scared, but I fear more for the girls, Mac told me. Then, after several on the record conversations and a lot of forwarded documentation, she said she changed her mind about telling her story. She threatened to sue if I used her name in any story I reported. BuzzFeed's media lawyers told her it didn't work that way, and the story ran with the information she had freely shared with me on the record. As of this writing, Mac has not spoken publicly about Kelly again, but before she went silent, she confirmed that 2 other women had been a part of the cult. I connected with them after they too first spoke to Jay Savage. 37 when we first talked, Asante McGee grew up in New Orleans, but had lived in Atlanta for a decade when she met R. Kelly and started a year-long sexual relationship with him that ended in the summer of 2016. A member of the star's entourage invited her backstage during the Black Panties tour, and she and Kelly began exchanging text messages and phone calls. Early on, he asked me if I was sure I wanted to be in his world because his world is not like any other world. I was like, yes, I'm sure, she told me. She believed he loved her and she loved him. I used to travel and go to different shows and stuff, and he actually introduced me to the other girls in the cult, including the women he called his trainer. She was the same woman Geronda Johnson had met. The trainer bragged of starting her sexual relationship with Kelly when she was 15 and of being friends in high school with Rashonda Landfair. McGee watched Kelly having sex with the trainer, who was 30 at the time. She entered one of the doors. You have to knock. You need his permission. And he told her to come in. He called her a bitch. He said, bitch, get down on your knees. She came in the room, butt naked, and she got on her knees in a dog position, and he was just asking her questions like, how long have you been with me? How many shows have you gone to? He was asking those questions and she was answering, and then he was like, okay, bitch, get up. And he told her to suck his, McGee never saw Kelly hit any of the girls he called his babies, but she did witness what she called other kinds of abuse for breaking his rules. He left AZRIEL on the bus for like 3 days, and she was not allowed to come out. He criticized her for not knowing her homework, even though AZRIEL wasn't in school. Kelly did not physically abuse McGee, but she said she did experience mental abuse and sexual abuse. He would try to make me believe these things. He would try to feed your head with a lot of things. You want to satisfy him so bad and wanted his approval that you were willing to go any level. Kelly took video of their sexual encounters, which surprised McGee at first. When I saw the light flashing, it took me by surprise, and I was like, what? He would put it on his phone, iPad, whatever is near, and he showed his friends. She said he orchestrated threesomes with her and another of the girls, and he demanded acts of sexual humiliation and humiliation that I didn't approve of. I don't care about your sexual preference, but for you wanting me to do these things to you, I just couldn't get with it. It bothered me. Those acts and the realization that her housemate AZRIEL CLARY was only 17 prompted McGee to begin rethinking her relationship with Kelly. I have a 17-year-old daughter myself, and I think that was the biggest wake-up call. When I saw AZRIEL with him, it took me back. This could be my daughter. I just knew that it was not right, and I just couldn't understand what a man almost 50 is doing, having sex with someone the same age as his daughter. That's when I realized it was more of a mind control thing. He likes when you talk like a little girl. When AZRIEL was doing sexual stuff with him, he wanted her to sound like a little girl. So the whole voice would have to change. Everything was building up, McGee said. The end came after Kelly berated her for wearing shorts and a tank top instead of a jogging suit on a 102-degree summer day. In my head, then, I'm gone. Echoing what Kelly's friend Kim Donsi had written years earlier in her book Starstruck, McGee concluded Robert was the sweetest person you could meet, but R. Kelly was a monster. Kitty Jones told a similar story, but she said Kelly did hit her during a relationship that lasted from 2011 to 2013. I was in a situation where I felt trapped. I gave up everything for that, and it wasn't worth it. As a radio personality with 97.9 The Beat in Dallas, she met the singer when the Love Letter tour played the Verizon Theater in Grand Prairie, Texas on June 19, 2011. Kelly gave her his number, and they began talking and texting. Eventually, she quit her job to join him, lured by his offer to dance on stage as part of the threesome in the cell. 35 at the time, she said she looked 22. That's what attracted him, because he was really shocked when he found out I was a little older than I looked. Over time, Kelly introduced Jones to the other women in what she called the cult. The first woman she met, who was then nearing age 30, was Rashonda Landfair. As in the past, when approached in 2017, Rashonda declined to speak to me in advance of the BuzzFeed news article. I asked him, "How long have you known Shonda?" Jones told me. He said, "I don't like people asking me my business, but I raised her." Those were his words. Jones later sought out and watched the infamous video for which Kelly was tried and acquitted. It registered to me at that moment what I was watching. That was the girl he introduced me to. She never stopped coming around the whole time that I was living in Chicago. Several incidents prompted Jones to leave in September 2013. I got tired of abuse, and I got tired of feeling like I was just there whenever he needed sex. I had to put up with all of these things, including sex acts that made her uncomfortable. I was too afraid to share these things with friends and family that cared about me. I was really going through hell. Kelly made her perform in threesomes with the other girls. She said, and he filmed their sexual activities. Then, in the spring of 2013, she and several of the girls ate with him at a Subway restaurant down the block from the Ohio Street recording studio. Jones claimed Kelly took offense when she chatted with the male cashier, dragged her outside, threw her against a tree, and kicked, choked, and slapped her. I couldn't believe that he was bold enough to do that in open broad daylight in front of people. Sure, somebody out here knew it was R. Kelly, but maybe they didn't think it was, because who would be that bold to do that if you're someone people can recognize? Jones endured other alleged incidents of physical abuse. She initially spoke to me off the record, only deciding to let me use her name not long before BuzzFeed News published the story. Despite months of reporting with 14 sources on the record and extensive corroborating documentation, the story about Kelly's cult proved more difficult to publish than any in my career. That period provides a case study of the troubled state of journalism circa 2017. I worked at length with 3 news organizations, all of which provided additional reporting help, and I got far down the line with editing, fact-checking, and legal vetting at each before executives above the level of the editors I worked with decided not to publish. Desperate to bring their daughters Joy and Azriel home, the Savages and the Clarys contacted me several times a week throughout that long wait. They started to give up hope that the media would amplify their frustrations, pleas for help. At times, so did I. I spent a month doing my initial reporting after Jay Savage first emailed me on November 2nd, 2016. Then I contacted Jessica Hopper, who'd interviewed me about R. Kelly's troubled history for the Village Voice. She had become executive editor at MTV News, and on December 6th, she agreed to publish the story once we finished it. The broadcast channel had long since replaced music videos with reality TV, trash such as The Real World and 16 and Pregnant, but one of its rotating corporate rings had decided to create a forum for long-form culture, journalism, and criticism online. Eventually, Hopper hit roadblocks with the corporate overlords at Viacom Media Networks. They wanted to break the story in a half-hour documentary, and the legal department balked at indemnifying a freelance reporter. Every part of it had hit a snag that I wasn't positive I could untangle. Hopper later told me, "That's when I said, go ahead and walk with it." I felt horrible. She left MTV 4 months later. Editor Jake Malooly had been asking me to contribute to the Chicago Reader, and his deputy Robin Amir had been a colleague at WBEZ. The Alt Weekly had recently published a long investigative story about sexual harassment at the vaunted Profiles Theater, shaking the Chicago theater scene. The Reader was owned at the time by Michael Farrow, a digital entrepreneur with a short attention span and grandiose visions, who'd purchased the Sun-Times after James Tyree died in 2011. Publisher and editor-in-chief Jim Kirk, a veteran of the Chicago Tribune, oversaw both papers, and the Sun-Times had of course, published all of the original reporting about Kelly that I did with Abdon Palash. I met with Amir Malawi and Kirk in the same conference room at the new Sun-Times offices at 350 North Orleans, where I been told I had 3 options the night before I appeared in court during the trial.
Shazazz Creations, your one-stop shop when it comes to customization. Totes, tees, tumblers, hats, and more. Looking for a customized gift idea for a graduation, birthday party, baby shower, or just a unique creation of your own? Check out Shazazz Creations as seen here on Whitney D TV. Female, Black owned. Use my promo in the description box down below and let her know Whitney D of Whitney D TV sent you. Thank you. Bye.
I worked on the story with Amir from mid-February 2017 until early May. My Dukma Mashova contributed additional reporting, and the piece was vetted by that silver-haired legal Galahad, Damon Dunn. Then Kirk decided not to publish. We felt at the time the story as turned in needed more sourcing, he later told me. He left the papers a few months later, not long before Farrow bought the Tribune as the controlling owner of a corporation. He renamed Trunk. Then he sold both the Sun-Times and the Reader. Those deals loomed in the background. My story was controversial, and controversy is bad for the corporate dealings. Eventually, Farrow lost control of Trunk and the tribe and put those up for sale too after sexual harassment allegations surfaced about him in March 2018. From May through mid-July 2017, I worked with my colleagues at WBEZ to post the cult story on the website that hosted by Blog of Music News and Criticism. Chicago Public Radio has a long, proud tradition of hard-hitting audio journalism, local stories, as well as pieces for This American Life, which originated at the station, but it had never run a textual story so long. Controversial and complicated. 3 editors worked with me through several more drafts, and Dunn vetted the story again. Early on July 11th, Michael Lansue has dogged a reporter as my old pal Abdon made the necessary call seeking comment from Kelly's label RCA Sony Music and his current lawyer, Chicago attorney Linda Minch. We did not want them to know I was the primary reporter yet. Lanús outlined the damning allegations in the piece set to post at noon on July 12th. Executive at RCA Sony Music declined to comment, but Minch gave us a statement. We can only wonder why folks would persist in defaming a great artist who loves his fans, works 24/7, and takes care of all of the people in his life. He works hard to become the best person and artist he can be. It is interesting that stories and tales debunked many years ago turned up when his goal is to stop the violence, put down the guns, and embrace peace and love. I suppose that is the price of fame. Like all of us, Mr. Kelly deserves a personal life. Please respect that. Ultimately, Chicago Public Radio CEO Golly, you see it, whom I respect and admire, decided not to publish the story on WBEZ.org. My recollection is we needed more time to further fact check the story, she later told me. But we were sensitive to your desire to publish swiftly based on concerns that you'd be scooped when some of your exclusive sources had a press conference. At that point, we mutually agreed that you would approach other media outlets with the piece. Once BuzzFeed agreed to work on the story, we were all glad it was able to get in front of a national audience. Frustrated as I was with the difficulties of publishing the story after 9 months of reporting, the Savages planned to call every news organization in Atlanta and camp out in front of the guest house in Johns Creek, if that's what it took to get people to pay attention to their efforts to bring joy home. I did not care about getting scooped. My immediate problem that Wednesday afternoon was that the Kelly camp knew what the story contained and that it would be published soon, I hoped. I worried that Joy and AZRIEL or their parents could face retaliation. I made 2 calls to editors I knew at the Chicago Tribune and the Los Angeles Times, both of whom said their papers could not move quickly with the piece, if at all. I generally avoided typical celebrity fluff and shallow clickbait of BuzzFeed's homepage, but BuzzFeed News had been doing some of the most impressive journalism of the Trump era. Editor Shani Hilton and I had never talked, but I appreciated a story she and Aline Zafar posted on the site in 2013 under the headline "R. Kelly's Alleged Sexual Assaults and Why No One's Talking About It." We connected Thursday morning and BuzzFeed News wanted the story. I worked nonstop on final fact-checking and editing for the next 4 days with a brilliant editor, Marissa Carroll, and the same legal team that had worked on the site's blockbuster story about Christopher Steele's Trump-Russia dossier in January 2017. The story finally posted under the headline "Inside the Pied Piper of R&B's Cult" at 7:02 a.m. on Monday, July 17th. As always, there is context. Call it the Gawker effect. Washington Post media columnist Margaret Sullivan wrote a week after my story posted. British journalist and digital entrepreneur Nick Denton had launched Gawker in 2002 as the source for daily Manhattan media news and gossip, and he built a new media empire as famous for its snark as its scoops. The company crashed in mid-2016 after a $140 million judgment in a suit brought by wrestler Hulk Hogan, real name Terry Bollea, when Gawker posted video of him having sex with a woman married to his friend Todd Clean. I remember that. A radio host known as Bubba the Love Sponge, Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel, a major donor to the campaign of a new president who bragged that his celebrity allowed him to grab them by the pussy, bankrolled Hogan's legal action, allegedly aggrieved because one of Gawker's sister sites had mentioned his homosexuality. Absent malice in initially publishing a story a news organization known to be untrue. American lawmakers, it very difficult to libel public figures, but the new verdict from the federal court in Florida set a precedent that even household names can successfully sue for an unreasonable invasion of privacy, a nebulous and dangerous new standard. Plenty of people were disgusted by Gawker's airing of the Hulk Hogan sex tape, Margaret Sullivan wrote in the Post, and as a result, not unhappy to see the site go out of business. But some of them will be less pleased to know that a story like the R. Kelly reporting or many others that we don't know about might never see the light of day. Fear can result in self-censorship at any stage of a story's development, maybe before it ever gets out of a reporter's notebook or in the hour before planned publication. My first BuzzFeed story did not name Joy Savage or AZRIEL Clary because we considered them victims of sexual abuse, and it did not name their parents because naming them would identify their daughters. Numerous sources confirmed the identities of the 4 other women who, until recently, had been living with Kelly, but we did not name them either. We decided the other members of the cult only as a 19-year-old model, a 31-year-old den mother who trained newcomers on Kelly's rules and how he liked to be pleased sexually, a 25-year-old woman who had been part of the singer circle for 7 years, Dominique Garner, would later go public, and an Atlanta songwriter, the woman whom Cheryl Mack had represented and introduced to Kelly. Later the day the story published, him and Jay Savage spoke to the media outside one of the 2 homes Kelly rented in Johns Creek. Ashanti McGee joined them. She had been named in the story along with Kitty Jones and Mac. Angela and Alice Clary did not go public until several months later. In this stark contrast to the first Kelly story that Abdon Palash and I published in the Dead Tree Sun Times in December 2000, a dramatically different era, the cult story instantly spread far and wide thanks to social media. BuzzFeed charted more than 600 media pickups online and in print, and I did more than 40 print and broadcast interviews in the first week after publications. I kept talking because I wanted people to care about Joy and AZRIEL. As I prepared to go live with Canadian Public Broadcasting from a studio at WBEZ, 2 days after this story ran, my phone rang. My stepfather, Harry Reynolds, the man who gave me his set of Slingerland drums and who encouraged me to always carry a handkerchief, had been struggling with Alzheimer's in a specialized care facility. He died shortly before the scheduled start of my interview with CBC Radio. I thought about canceling it and all the others scheduled for the next 2 days, but I had made Harry's arrangements in advance. My brother called our mom, and my wife and daughter sat with her until I finally got there that evening. My stepdad had spent the last 30 years of his career working with students just a little younger than Joy and AZRIEL in the public schools of some of the poorest neighborhoods in Jersey City. He had been the kind of teacher who'd take off his tie and give it to a boy to wear to the science fair, and who'd pass his lunch to a girl who didn't have one. The pain Kelly had caused so many girls for so long had grabbed the spotlight. I thought that talking about it was exactly what Harry would have wanted me to do, and I hoped I did him proud. I also kept reporting. 6 weeks later, BuzzFeed News published a story about Jerronda Pace, Nia Johnson. The next spring, Lizette Martinez spoke publicly to me for the first time about her underage relationship with Kelly and the miscarriage she endured alone in the Chicago hotel room when she was a teenager. That story also quoted Chicagoan Michelle Kramer. She said her daughter had been part of Kelly's cult since she and her best friend Jerronda partied at his mansion in 2009. We did not name Kramer's daughter, Dominique Garner, but her mother later did. Being silent is not the answer, so I said, "It's time," Kramer told me. "I want my child home. I don't know what hold he has on her, but her last words to me was, 'Don't ever give up on me.'" Although they often felt isolated and ignored, activists had never given up on protesting Kelly's predatory behavior. Launched in the summer of 2017 by Kenyette Tisha Barnes and Nick Ordele, a new crusade called #Mute R. Kelly succeeded in forcing the cancellation of 11 of his concerts over its first 15 months. Their goal was to stop Kelly from hurting women by shutting down the income that had enabled him, stopping his ability to record or perform. In May of 2018, Time's Up, the movement formed by Hollywood celebrities to fight sexual harassment in the wake of allegations about Harvey Weinstein, joined Barnes and Odelia to release a strong-worded statement supported by, among others, directors Ava DuVernay and Shonda Rhimes, musicians John Legend and Questlove, and Tarana Burke, who had founded the #MeToo in 2006. As women of color within Time's Up, we recognize that we have a responsibility to help right this wrong. The women in the organization wrote and they demanded action by industry enablers such as RCA, Sony Music, Live Nation, Ticketmaster, Spotify, and Apple Music. They also called the criminal investigations. Kelly's music is a part of American and African American culture that should never and will never be silenced. Kelly's camp fired back. No one working for the star put their name to the statement. His latest spokeswoman, Trevian Kuti, had recently resigned. Since America was born, black men and women have been lynched for having sex or for being accused of it. We will vigorously resist this attempt public lynching of a black man who has made extraordinary contributions to our culture. Get the hell out of here. Some close to Kelly whispered to reporters that the girls he housed were runaways, eager to escape difficult home lives, and the singer simply took pity on them. Those who left and spoke out against him were either jealous or looking for a payoff. I heard these arguments on occasion since late 2000, and it was impossible to believe that so many women had been lying about so many things for so much time. Kelly's critics certainly didn't buy it. It's going to take the black community to fully embrace the idea of R. Kelly being a predator, and to understand that even if the girls are now 21 or 18, it's still predatory behavior, and that he shouldn't be celebrated in our community. That part. Tarana Burke told me for another piece I wrote for BuzzFeed News in the spring of 2018. The problem, Kenyette Tisha Barnes added, is that people don't give a damn about black girls, the majority of Kelly's alleged victims. The bottom line is that R. Kelly is the greatest example of a predator in that he went after the most vulnerable that no one cares about. By the end of 2018, the FBI and local law enforcement agencies in suburban Atlanta, Chicago, Olympia Fields, and Polk County, Florida, still hadn't acted. Despite hours of interviews with the parents and others in my stories and 7 complaints, the Savages, the Clarys, and Geronda have filed against Kelly since 2016. Joy Savage released a second video through the Kelly camp's favorite pipeline, TMZ, once again claiming she was fine. This time, Dominique Garner appeared at her side. Dominique would not go publicly about her 9 years in what everyone now calls the cult until March of 2019, the same time AZRIEL Clary first spoke publicly in an interview with Gayle King on CBS this morning. After the BuzzFeed news story, I received many inquiries about working with proposed documentaries. All of them wanted to be the next Making a Murderer or The Jinx.
Ooh, somebody has been embracing their Pangea. Embrace Pangea? You don't know about that? Child, these products are all created to bring you back to balance through nature's gifts. Now, they have a wide range of products that deal with the various aspects of daily life, such as deodorants, juices, clothing, vagina detoxes, and body scrubs. Whichever product that you decide to embrace, you can rest assured that it was created and crafted with the love for the betterment of self. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds amazing. And it smells amazing, okay? So embrace your Pangea. Visit the description box down below and you can click on the link where my discount is automatically applied, okay? Now embrace your Pangea and let them know that Whitney D of Whitney D TV sent you. Bye.
The producers of Lifetime's Surviving R. Kelly, Bunham Murray, persuade me to most aggressively, but I declined for 2 reasons. BuzzFeed wanted to make a film, and given the support the organization had shown me, I didn't want to work with anyone else at the time. Bunham Murray also were the Scotch misers behind The Real World and Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And I saw the blurring of reality and entertainment and the pursuit of celebrity Uber allies as part of the culture disease that enabled Kelly. Dreamhampton was not yet connected with the project, and I had no confidence Bunham Murray would do journalism, not sensationalism. In the end, Dream and her team contributed something enormously important with Surviving R. Kelly, which ran during the first week of a new year, 2019, and which broke viewership records for a Lifetime for nearly 2 decades. I had talked with women who told me how Kelly had abused them, and I'd interviewed most of the people who appeared in the series, including the former Kelly assistant shown in Silhouette with an alter voice, one of 2 who held that position after Cheryl Mack. Thanks to Dream, for 6 hours, viewers saw and heard these women speaking directly to them, and it made a difference. When I was writing the first Sun Times story in December 2000, the recent issue of Vibe magazine with the Dreams cover story about Kelly sat on my desk. About 2 months earlier, she'd spent several days in Chicago with the singer, waiting in and around the recording studio for time to grant her an interview. Talking to Jessica Goldstein of Think Progress in 2019, Dream said she hadn't thought about the ages of the young women she saw hovering around Kelly until a month or 2 later when the first Sun Times story came out. Not only did I immediately realize, wow, I missed the whole story. It's like being at Jeffrey Dahmer's house and being like, fuck, I should have opened this fridge. In early 2019, more people than ever finally opened the door. All right, and we're going to stop right there, you guys, at chapter 15, The Reckoning. All right. Well, you guys, so that is, you know what? I am speechless, to say the least, when it comes to, oh my gosh, like hearing about the experience that Joy went through, the a little more detailings with the Clarys and things to nature. It is very interesting, very, very interesting, to say the least. Wow. Wow. This is very interesting, to say the least. I'm just floored to hear about the conversation that was recorded by the savages that, you know what I'm saying, that they still have. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I think they released this or the video, one of them. I remember seeing or hearing one of them when I was just kind of, this is when I wasn't even involved in anything. I just kind of was just, you know, just not an innocent bystander, if you will, but just a spectator, if you will. And I do remember, you know, seeing these stories, hearing this information. Like I said, I didn't start talking about this till I noticed it started getting serious. And like I was telling you guys, I would see the different videos of Azriel and, you know, how she was acting, and it was just erratic to me and weird. And I was just like, something's not right. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, being a product of abuse myself, you kind of see the flags, you know what I'm saying? And that's whenever I start talking about AZRIEL and R. Kelly and things of that nature. And, you know, and everybody was like, you hate him and you need to heal. Well, baby, I'm not in that situation. I'm doing very well for myself. I have a healthy marriage, have children. I'm good. I'm healed. I'm good. But you not fixing to sit here and deflect and try to tell me because I'm speaking out that I ain't healed. No, you haven't healed because you don't want to hear about the truth. You don't want to hear about the allegations in regards that you know, have been proven to be factual, and more so that this fool recorded on his own account. And a lot of people want to keep saying it's no pornography charges. With this last trial, it wasn't. Oh, but it is in this new trial in Chicago. Child pornography, baby. So that's neither here nor there, you guys. You know, that is the read. It was a long one. But tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. While you're there, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already, okay? Well, we are in the home stretch and closing of this book. Like I said, I think it has 304 pages, and we're almost out this thing. And it's been a pleasure reading this book, and I tend to look forward to read other books with you guys in the near future. Not for nothing, you guys, that is it for me. Thank you guys for joining me for another reading out loud with Whitney D. I am She, and I am signing off. You guys have a wonderfully blessed and safe day. Deuces.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high.
Nope, this ain't it. You are tuned into a realistic, unprofessional perspective reading of this book. So that means stumbles, fumbles, and sometimes an occasional mispronunciation of words. So if you are looking for the audible, this book, go buy it yourself. Or feel free to mute me and read on your own. Otherwise, sit back and be grateful. You are tuned into a live reading with Whitney D.
Hello, you guys. Whitney D here from the sensational, celebrity recognized Whitney D TV. Now, I want to tell you guys about my monthly membership. Right now, here are the tiers right here. You pick the one that best suits you so you can support this channel on a monthly basis. You get all kind of perks, access to different exclusive content. All right, now if this is something that you're interested in, go ahead and click the join button down below and join the Witness gang to be a part of the Witness Nation. Bye.
OMG, I love Sprizzy. Wait, what? You don't know about Sprizzy? Child. They pride themselves on being the original marketing platform made specifically for YouTube content creators. Their mission is simple: to help the YouTubers grow their channels safely and effectively by exposing their videos to new potential fans. Like a matchmaking service, Sprizzy crafts highly effective YouTube ads campaigns that target YouTubers searching for content just like yours. Best of all, this all takes place on YouTube's very own ad platform, Google Ads, ensuring those new subscribers to your channel are real, lifelong fans. Now, whether you are looking to get the word out about one of your videos or you're looking to gain new subscribers to your channel, Spreezy can help you along the way. The best thing, all views are from 100% real people. They promise to never use bots, click farms, or pay people to watch your videos. All growth is organic and real with no risk to your channel. All views are 100% verifiable through your YouTube Creator Studio analyst. So what are you waiting on? If you are a new content creator or you just want to get a little more push out there and get your content seen, try Spreezy. Look in my description box for a link and have fun. See you soon. Bye.
I'm Whitney.
Keep it cute. It gets it